And at the time, the way the Acts retreats moved from parish to parish was by osmosis. It was slow, and St. Matthew's was nurturing our parish. And the way they did it was they would invite 4 or 5 guys that had been on retreat from the neighboring parish to be on team, and they would slowly assimilate that. When I went on retreat with St. Matthew's Parish, I was blown away. Blown completely. And you know what blew me away was that people at Agape talked about changing their lives. And they did it. I watched them. And that impressed me. Because they changed for the better. And this happened in one retreat, in one weekend, done by lay people. That was magic. And the magic was the Holy Spirit that drove us. And I felt after that retreat, the Holy Spirit driving me. Because it was so difficult to move from parish to parish, we had to find a better way. So what we did was we took the entire team from St. Francis and we called Father Dennis Darjalek, who was here earlier, and said, hey, Father Dennis, you have to do this retreat. This is unbelievable. And he trusted us, and we did it. And it was the first time that we jumped a whole team from one parish to the other. And then, of all things, we were called to Alaska. Juneau, Alaska. We went from St. Paul's Parish in San Antonio to St. Paul's Parish in Juneau, Alaska, 2,000 miles away. We felt called. But it was incredibly expensive to fly there. We were young. So we took 7 guys from here that had been on retreat. Who was on that retreat? Mike? You were there. Anybody else? Anybody else here that was on that retreat? We took 7 guys from here that had been on a retreat and combined with 7 guys over there who had never been on retreat to make a 14-man team, which worked, but was ridiculous. We felt sorry for the 7 guys from Alaska, so we hid 2 things from them. Love letters and candlelight. So, of the 14 guys I had, 7 of them were slayed with the love letters and the candlelight. But it was an amazing experience. I think that we were caught in a time and a place when we were called to respond to giving an organization and a training so that these retreats could move faster in the parishes. This was an amazing experience put on by lay people in one weekend. It had to move faster. So we formed Acts Missions, and we formed training modules and director's manuals. And it's just been a tremendous blessing for me and my wife and my family. And I'm so happy to have been there at that time to respond. And I'm not special, but the time was special. And this is special. And all of you are special for supporting this tremendous blessing. Thanks.
Amen. Amen. Larry Perry, and I was fortunate enough and blessed to happen to be in the right place at the right time, to be on the very first team that formed at Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Selma back in 1987. So I was on that very, very first team, and actually I did 2 talks. And very briefly, here's what I would share with you this evening. Now, I remember, 35 years ago now, to imagine anything like this coming from what we did during that time, absolutely no one had any idea that this would happen. We were coming together as a group to put together a retreat for a specific parish, a particular community, in a particular place, at a particular time. And we came together and worked on that and put it together. And we just simply said, we're going to do this for here, for Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and had no idea that, would go any further than that. And here's the thing that really stands out to me out of all of that. We simply showed up. And I remember actually Father Ron Rollheiser, who was here earlier, I remember a talk he gave at the beginning of the Acts Spiritual Companion formation program. He talked about showing up and how important it was to show up. Because sometimes we have no idea what can happen when we show up. But if we show up, things happen. And when I think about this, what we did was we showed up. And we had no idea what God had in mind or in plans for the future of Acts retreats. We simply did what we could for that day and that time. And all of this has happened afterwards. And it's amazing, and it's a great lesson to me as I continue in my own life. And that is, the best thing that I can do most of the time is show up and leave it in God's hands, and amazing things do happen out of that. One of my very favorite quotes from St. Irenaeus is this: we without God cannot. Without God, we simply cannot, because God is the one. So we without God cannot, and God without us will not. That was St. Irenaeus, more than 1,000 years ago. He understood that the way that God works in this world, in our lives, in our time, is He works through us. And when we show up, there is a place of grace that surprises us with more than we ever expected. And it appeared in Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Selma in 1987, 35 years ago, because we showed up. And it appeared in Larry Lopez and Rosemary and Tony Deostali because they showed up. And we have no idea what can happen, but wonderful grace abounds and lives and thrives and continues to live in our world. So thanks be to God for that. And so thank you, all of you, for showing up, for being a part of the story and the life of Acts and Acts Missions. And God bless every one of you.
Thank you.